Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba's annual general meeting. We're just going to wait a few more seconds as everyone logs on. Please enjoy and look back at some of the Foundation's activities throughout 2019.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dean Schenkel, and I am honored to serve as the chair of the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Today, we are celebrating the year that was 2019, and yes, that feels like a long time ago, and we're gathering a little later than we usually do in a different format, but I am so pleased that you could join us today. Now, I want to start with a couple of housekeeping items. Now, voting members will have the opportunity to vote on motions electronically. When we call for votes, a window will pop up. Please indicate yes, no, or objection. If at any time you have questions, please use the chat function. A member of the team will moderate and we will address them at the appropriate opportunity. You will have received links to today's meeting materials, including the agenda, along with the Zoom information. So as we begin, will someone please move to approve the agenda dated October 16th, 2020. Thank you. Moved by Peter Davey and seconded by Michael Holmes. Now, all in favor, if you could please vote.
Just leave it, it'll come on.
Now, Kat, I just want to make sure that you can see the vote is up. I can see that people are having the opportunity to vote.
Yes, it should be on people's screens. We are seeing the motion.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you, motion passed. Also in today's meeting package are the minutes from the annual general meeting dated May 14th, 2019. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from last year's meeting? Thank you, moved by Zoe Richardson, seconded by Chris Kauenhofen. Now all in favor? Give everyone a moment here.
The vote is in, approved.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going to turn it over to Michael Holmes, Chair of the Finance Committee, to deliver the finance report.
Thank you, Dean. The Children's Hospital Foundation financial statements audited by PwC for the year ended December 31st, 2019 are included in the package that you would have received. A few highlights we wanted to note. In 2019, our gross revenues, including investment income, were over $14 million, an all-time record fundraising year for the foundation. And this success comes on the heels of a banner year in 2018, Both are a direct result of the board's desire to help transform the HSC Winnipeg Children's Hospital, led by our donors and starting with our cardiac campaign. Year-end pledges were $9.4 million, almost $4 million higher than the amount of pledges at the end of 2018. The commitment from donors like you is truly inspiring. In 2019, on a combined basis, the foundation granted almost $9 million to the Children's Hospital and the Children's Hospital Research Institute of Manitoba. As you can see in this slide, just next slide here, these were split 43% and 57% respectively. Hospital and program grants went towards purchasing life-saving equipment, supporting programs like Child Life and the Cardiac Cath Lab, and providing funds for much needed research for children's health. The foundation is very proud of the work done by both the Children's Hospital and our Research Institute. Due to COVID-19, the foundation, as with most other not-for-profits, has found certain revenue streams in 2020 to be a challenge. However, management and staff are continuing to fundraise, donors are listening, and they are continuing to respond. Although donations will be lower in 2020, we will still be able to provide significant support to both the hospital and the Research Institute. May I have a motion to approve the audited financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2019? Moved by Chris Kaunhofen, seconded by Zoe Richardson. All in favor?
Yes, all in favor.
Perfect, thank you. Next is the motion to appoint the auditors for 2020. Can I get a motion to approve the reappointment of PricewaterhouseCoopers as auditors for the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba for 2020? Moved by Karen Pooley, seconded by Catherine Hordienko. All in favor?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. I would now like to call upon Peter Davey, Chair, Nominating and Governance Committee, for his report. Peter?
Thank you, Michael. The Nominating and Governance Committee has been busy this year. I would like to take a moment to thank the committee for their hard work and dedication. We have the following motions to make. Can I get a motion to approve all acts, contracts, proceeding appointments, and payments enacted, made, done, and taken by the Board of Directors and Executive be approved and ratified? So that's moved by Michael Holmes, seconded by Michael Schwazelot. All those in favor?
Yes, carried.
Thank you. Taking on the role as a member of the Children's Hospital Board of Directors is a commitment we deeply appreciate. It requires being proactive in the community by being strong ambassadors of the foundation to help advance the need of sick and injured children everywhere. Board members help raise money and support the initiatives of the foundation. Would someone please move that the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba elect the following slate of nominees to the Board of Directors for an initial 3-year term? Rebecca Chartrand, Kristen Kennedy, Ben Lee, Dr. Adina Madison, Ainsley Rice, and Andrew Weir. So that's moved by Michael Schwazelot, seconded by Zoe Richardson. All in favor?
That's carried.
Thank you, and welcome to our new board members. Thank you for your willingness to volunteer to be members of the Children's Hospital Foundation Manitoba Board of Directors. We look forward to having you join our team. Turning now to the current board members who are up for re-election, can I have a motion that the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba re-elect Diane Boyle, Michael Schwazelot, Dr. Michael Narvey, Carly Schuler, and Munther Zeid for additional 3-year terms? So it's moved by Michael Schwazelot, seconded by Chris Cohenhofen. All those in favor?
Yes, carried.
Thank you. The complete list of board members for 2020 is included in your package today. Thank you to our volunteer board for your continued service and dedication for the children. The Honorary Directors Council is also elected at today's meeting for a one-year term. These members are Mary Alice Grasick, Helen Litz, Meredith MacArthur, Bonnie Patinow, Jim Ray, Dr. Cheryl Rockman Greenberg, Jim Sangster, Ernest Shapira, and Fiona Webster Morant. Can I get a motion that the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba appoint the above members for a one-year term to the Honorary Directors Council for 2020? That's moved by Holly Tupin, seconded by Carmen Aleshka. All those in favor?
That's carried.
Thank you. The shareholder members who provide oversight of our research institute on behalf of the Foundation Board are also appointed at today's meeting for a one-year term. These members are Mark Gray, Karen Cornejo, and Mark Evans. Can I get a motion that the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba appoint the above members for a one-year term to the CRIM Board for 2020? That's moved by Chris Cohenhofen, seconded by Carly Schuler. All in favor?
That's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael and Peter, and a very warm welcome to all of our new and returning board and honorary director board members. Now at this time, I'd like to acknowledge 5 directors who have left the board this year. Wilf Brock, Bob Darling, Dr. Janet Grabowski, Purdy Mehta Shah, and Karen Cornejo. Now first, Wilf Brock. He joined our board back in 2011 and has been an absolute asset to several areas of our foundation. Wilf held roles on the HR committee and chaired the strategic planning committee for the board. Wilf, we've appreciated your leadership, and he's agreed to stay on the CRIM board, so he's not going very far away. Bob Darling. Now, Bob has provided leadership on our investment committee for an amazing 25 years, and he sat on the board a few times over those years as well. Most recently, he rejoined our board in 2015. Now, just personally, I want to say Bob's advice and guidance has been just amazing, and his ongoing commitment and support to our foundation have been truly valued. Thank you so much, Bob. Dr. Janet Grabowski was appointed to our board by the head of the Department of Pediatrics and Child Health in 2014. Dr. Grabowski took on the role of chair of the Child Health Advisory Committee, or CHAC. Her leadership on that committee was invaluable, and we thank her for her time with the foundation. Purdy Mehta Shah joined our board in 2011, so thank you so much for your 9 years. She has provided amazing leadership on our finance committee, and we thank her for her years of contribution to the foundation. Now, Karen Cornejo joined our board in 2013. Karen shared her leadership with us as vice chair and then as chair from 2016 to 2018. Karen's support for our foundation through the years has been invaluable. She has shared her knowledge and demonstrated dedication to our foundation and our cause in so many different ways. Her influence on our board will be missed. We simply can't thank Karen enough. And again, just personally, as I took over chair after Karen, she was a great mentor to me. I still go for her for questions, and I just thank her. And Karen, thank you so much for your guidance and the time you put into the foundation. Now, before I share my report, I would like to thank Dr. Cheryl Rockman Greenberg, Dr. Grabowski, Zoe Richardson, Peter Davey, Darcy Stratisky, Carly Schuler, and Michael Holmes for serving as chairs of their respective committees. I'd also like to thank the volunteer members of committees for taking the time out of your busy days to help support and guide the Children's Hospital Foundation. Now, I am delighted to present my chair's report. 2019 was a record-breaking year for us. As you've heard, in no small measures, thanks to the generosity and dedication of the people here assembled on this Zoom call, and to the thousands of individuals, organizations, service groups, businesses, teams, and many more who believe in our collective mission, which is to improve the health of children everywhere. Now, you've heard a few of the numbers. More than $14 million in revenue, more than $9 million granted to the hospital and the Research Institute. Now, here's a few more numbers to think about. 857. An incredible 857 different organizations harnessed their energy and creativity to support our work last year. 15,323, yes, over 15,000 individual donors who supported sick and injured kids at the hospital in 2019. 77 community groups contributed to our cause. 14,000, that's the number of dollars our 2019 champion child, Gianna, raised for the NICU that she spent many months in as a baby. One more number for you, 40. Gianna shared her boundless energy and contagious smile at more than 40 events to inspire more people to give. Thank you, Gianna, and you'll meet Brady, our 2020 champion child, shortly. I also wanted to acknowledge members of the Children's Hospital Guild of Manitoba, the Foundation's largest supporter over the years. They were honored in 2019 with the Manitoba Philanthropy Award for Outstanding Service Group. This tenacious, energetic group of volunteers has served the needs of children for decades. Of the more than 100 current members of the Guild, a remarkable third have dedicated more than 25 years of service. Just amazing. Now, we lost one of these long-standing members earlier this fall. Colleen Horbay served with a lifelong passion and dedication to numerous organizations throughout the community, and is a Children's Hospital volunteer for more than 50 years. An original Children's Hospital Book Market volunteer, Colleen was also one of the founders of the Teddy Bears Picnic. She volunteered on the Guild Council, CHTV, the Peter Pan Club, the Foundation Board, and numerous committees. Her impact continues to be felt every day. Under her leadership, the Book Market supported a hospital food cart program. While kids can't choose their treatments, they can choose the food they would like to eat while in the hospital. That bit of personal power is invaluable to a sick child. Colleen understood this. Those of you who had the great pleasure to know Colleen will agree she had a heart of gold and a spine of steel, addressing hard issues and fighting for what she felt was right for the kids. Her contributions to helping sick and injured kids are immeasurable, and we will miss her. We extend deepest sympathies to her loving husband, Vincent, and her children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, extended family, and friends. Now, in late 2018, we launched a cardiac campaign to build a new Children's Heart Center. Last year, we told you that in conjunction with the leadership of HSC and the Child Health Program team, and with the support and leadership of key donors and campaign chairs, Jerry and Barb Price, we expanded its scope to grow from $3.5 to $7.5 million. Now, a lot happened in the last year. Because of your support and Jerry and Barb's passion, the stakes were raised even higher. $10.9 million is now our goal. Now, while technically a 2020 announcement, I am thrilled to let you in on some good news. To address some urgent and immediate needs of the hospital, the campaign goal is now $14.7 million, meaning we're going to raise more than triple than our original goal. The even better news, we have now raised $13.2 million in pledges, leaving us only $1.5 million from the finish line. Now, those are truly great numbers. Now, our CEO, Stefano, will share more details on this campaign and how important your support is in helping transform the Children's Hospital. Central to that transformation is the renewed 5-year strategic plan we shared with you last year. I am pleased to report that the first year of the strategic plan is on track and continues to guide the priorities and work of the Foundation. We will continue to follow it as we prepare for 2021, our 50th anniversary year. We are also going to hear from Dr. Patricia Burke, the Department Head and Provincial Specialty Lead for Pediatrics and Child Health, about her vision for child health and how COVID is accelerating it. More than $4 million was granted to the Children's Hospital Research Institute of Manitoba from the Foundation in 2019. Under the leadership of Dr. Terry Clausen and Nicola Weigel, this investment leveraged over $19 million of research funding for the Institute that came into Manitoba with our strong partnerships with the University of Manitoba. We're going to hear more from Dr. Clausen about the importance and vision for CRIM and its role in answering fundamental questions posed by the pandemic. The start of 2020 continued to be pace-setting with pledges and donations pointing to another record-breaking year. And then COVID hit. We know our community is hurting, and people are facing uncertainties at home and at work. When our community hurts, we hurt. Both the Foundation and CRIM acted early and committed to immediate expense mitigation to ensure funds go where they are needed most, in support of the kids. We reduced salaries and non-essential expenses and prioritized grants to redirect funds to the most important initiatives and sick kids' needs during this time. Despite the challenges the pandemic continues to present, the Foundation is even more committed to our collective cause and vision. We are confident that the commitment of supporters like you is strong because sick kids continue to need your help more than ever. In fact, we just received news this morning that one of our donors has been so inspired by our vision, the transformation underway, and the need that we got a donation on the day of our AGM, in the hope that supporters like you will match this generous and timely gift collectively. It's another great number to share with you, $40,000. Thank you very much to the Citrine Foundation of Canada. Your generosity is so much appreciated. Now, I'm very thankful for the foresight of past board members who financially readied our organization for a day like today. While no one expected such a worldwide social, economic, and health challenge as the coronavirus, I can tell you our foundation is strong and ready to respond quickly to changing needs. So even in these challenging times, we have so very much to celebrate and be thankful for, all because of you. Each of you has taken the time to care, to donate, to volunteer, to listen, to give feedback. Thank you. Thanks to the board of directors and advisory committees. Time is one of the most valuable resources, and we are humbled that you chose to share it with us in service of the kids. I want to say a special thank you to the leadership of HSC Winnipeg, under the direction of Ronan Seagrave, the hospital's chief operating officer. Now, Ronan, you've been absolutely essential in advancing our mission to improve the health of kids everywhere. You provide wise counsel, enthusiastic support, championing our vision with shared health, government, staff, donors, and volunteers. So thank you. And finally, thank you to Stefano and the energetic, creative, enthusiastic, hardworking staff at the Foundation. You are an incredible team. You make a difference. We as the board, we know how difficult these past months have been for you. We thank you for your perseverance and the energy you bring to our mission every single day. So on behalf of all of us, thank you very much. It is a privilege to chair this board and to work with each one of you to help sick and injured kids. Now, thank you very much. I'm going to make a motion to end the formal part of our AGM. We're going to move on with the presentations that I mentioned. So thank you, Peter Davey and Michael Schwazeli, moving to adjourn the meeting.
And that's carried.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to turn it over to our Foundation President and CEO, Stefano. Over to you.
Thanks, Dean. And hello, everyone, again. Thank you, Dean, and the entire board and my staff. It's been an incredible 2 years that I've had the privilege to lead the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba. It's been a wonderful personal and a professional journey of learning and creating a shared vision to transform child health in our province, collaboratively with all of our partners. Some of those transformations are well underway, thanks to you. A new Heart Center is under construction. This is great news for the 6,000 kids and their families who visit the Heart Center each year, and will soon have the comfort of a larger, more private spaces and enhanced equipment. A new fluoroscopy lab is under construction. This advanced medical imaging allows veins to be closely monitored for quicker treatment and a much lower radiation doses for our kids. And new indoor and outdoor play spaces for the child and adolescent mental health inpatient unit was approved and funding well underway. These spaces will help more than 500 youth ages 10 to 17 admitted each year to help reduce depression, anxiety, and stress, and develop coping skills for the future. Your support in 2019 was provided over $3.8 million for specialized hospital and programs and equipment like the Zeiss microscope that helps neurosurgeons see around blind spots in the brain. Patients like Lillian are now seizure-free. Omnibeds, cribs, milk warmers, radiant warmers, vein finders, incubators, ventilators, that all helped the tiniest and most fragile babies like Hudson, the first baby to move into the brand new NICU, which opened on December 1st. And the new cath lab, which means 60 to 70 kids and their families will no longer have to travel to other provinces for treatment. That brings peace of mind to families and kids like Jackson. Jackson and his family attended the opening and his grateful mom, Kristen, says, every single dollar makes a difference. Our hope is stronger than ever that Jackson and kids like him will live a long, healthy life because of donors like you. Your support also provided over $5 million for learning and research. More than 270 world-class researchers at CRIM are exploring some of the most important health challenges facing kids and youth today. On top of timely international COVID research you'll hear about, they are on the leading edge of understanding child health issues like asthma, diabetes, obesity, concussions, and much, much more. The thought leadership is here in our province. All of this and more will continue to improve the lives of sick kids because kids deserve the best healthcare possible. As Jerry Price may have said it the best, these little guys don't have a voice. We have to observe their needs, rally to their cause. Someone has to have the voice for them. We are very fortunate to have the right voices in our organization, passionate and skilled doctors and nurses and researchers who want the best for our kids, clinical and research leadership committed to championing change and innovation, supportive and collaborative government partners, and the glue holding all of this together are the donors like you, so who give so selflessly, even during challenging times like this. But we also need a plan to be successful. With the support from the board and my incredible staff, the 4 key pillars of our strategic plan ensure that we have clear path, focus to improve the lives of children everywhere. Very quickly, there's simple but very important pillars for us to reiterate. Our fundraising efforts will transform and advance child healthcare and research in our province and beyond. Our donors and stakeholders are central to all we do. Our brand will be synonymous with philanthropy. And as important, our leadership at all levels will be collaborative and engaged in our mission. In 2019, we strengthened board and governance procedures. We resourced and positioned the foundation for growth with new leadership roles in development and marketing. We introduced more rigorous and aligned operational planning and reporting, performance objectives, and professional development. And working more closely than ever with hospital, program, and research leadership teams to ensure alignment and effectiveness, and that we have clear fundraising vision focused on our greatest areas of needs. A great example is the $14.7 million goal now for the cardiac campaign that Dean had mentioned. These funds will address some of the most important needs of our hospital, namely to expand the ability to remotely monitor sick kids' vital signs across every inpatient unit in our children's hospital. Dr. Burke has a very strong vision for the hospital and has called these remote monitored beds a game changer, especially as the pandemic continues and as we approach flu season when more sick kids, unfortunately, will be admitted to our hospital. These beds will ease pressure on intensive care and emergency, reduce the need to postpone surgical procedures, and will give a greater peace of mind for parents and their children. We have also identified a few key areas of growth for our foundation to achieve these goals. We continue to grow our fundraising tools, our new areas of focus, major giving and planned and legacy giving. We have worked very hard to build trusting relationships with our Indigenous communities to support reconciliation, including the establishment of an Indigenous Advisory Circle, a first for our foundation. We are also very excited about a plan that's being developed to sustain and grow CRIM in the years to come. This is part of the future that we know. What we don't know is how the pandemic will play out. Thankfully, the direct impacts of COVID on kids have not yet been severe here, but the danger of infection for sick and vulnerable kids and their families and their caregivers still exists. It's the indirect impact of COVID-19 on the work of the foundation that has been most substantial. The necessary and understandable cancellation of key fundraising events like the spring and fall book markets and the Teddy Bears Picnic have significantly affected our fundraising efforts, both for the hospital and our CRIM Institute. CRIM's core functions and seed research is funded 100% by you, the donors. That support in turn stimulates additional investment in which enables researchers to lead and collaborate on projects around the world. The Child Life program is another vitally important area funded through events like the book market. Child Life includes music and art therapy, CHTV, library reading programs, and play therapy. I'm sure you can just imagine these programs and how essential they are, especially now during these times where visitor restrictions and physical distancing are mandatory. And kids' mental health also needs urgent attention. We need your support to be able to respond quickly to initiatives like a new emergency telemental health program, which will help 1,300 kids going to the Children's Emergency for mental health challenges every single month. The head of child and adolescent mental health, Dr. Cates, and his colleagues across Canada are concerned that this demand will only increase as a pandemic continues. Yes, your Children's Hospital Foundation is all in. Despite these challenges the pandemic has brought, we are committed to our collective vision and have faith that the generosity of donors like you will continue to support the critical needs of our kids and their families. Through conversation and our mutual desire to help sick kids, current and future, together, we can give their loved ones peace of mind that our Children's Hospital and our CRIM Institute remain world-class facilities, ready and able to give the best of care to our precious legacies. Together, we can make anything possible. Thank you again so deeply for your support. While this annual meeting is for the 2019 fiscal year, given the extraordinary nature of 2020, we felt it was very important to share with all you some insights on what has been happening at the hospital and at our research institute as we all face the pandemic together. Our special guests are the 2020 Champion Child, Brady Bobrowicz, Champion Mom, Corinne, Dr. Patricia Burke, Department Head and Provincial Specialty Lead, Pediatrics and Child Health, and of course, Dr. Terry Clausen, our CEO and Scientific Director of the Children's Hospital Research Institute of Manitoba. But first, we are delighted to have the Honorable Cameron Friesen, Minister of Health, Seniors and Active Living, here to join us today to say a few words. Welcome, Minister, over to you.
Actually, I just received word. Hi, everybody. I'm Kat Fox, not Minister Friesen. Just received a telephone call from the minister's office that he has been unfortunately taken away and really regrets to share this opportunity to be with us. But he asked us to please share his gratitude for all of the generosity of the donors, the commitment of the frontline staff of the hospital, and for the researchers at the forefront of COVID. So Honorable Cameron Friesen, Minister of Health, Seniors and Active Living, shares his great thanks and is not able to be here today. Thank you very much for him having sent those regards.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you for that update. Everyone, that's Kat Fox, our Vice President of Marketing and Communications. Thank you. We'll continue on then. Earlier, you heard about Gianna, our 2019 Champion Child. Today, we'd like to introduce you to Brady. You're gonna love Brady as well, our 2020 Champion Child. Brady has been sharing his story and acting as a spokesperson for your Children's Hospital and our Research Institute since earlier this year. Let's now learn a little bit more about him in this video.
It's a pretty special feeling to look down at your child and realize he's yours and you want to protect him, but this is just something that's taken out of your hands. Brady has a condition called neurofibromatosis 1.
It basically is a genetic condition in which tumors can grow anywhere in the body on nerve cells, essentially.
He's literally got 100 tumors on him, if not more. But fortunately, you just don't see them. There's people that go through their whole life that may even not know they even have NF just because it's so mild. And really, for the next few years, that was the case, that it was really insignificant in his life. The part that changed that is when we discovered that he had scoliosis. And not only did he have a scoliosis, that he had a fairly large plexiform neurofibroma that was growing on his thoracic spine. So that was, yeah. Like a dagger in the heart.
The surgery had to be done in two parts. The first part was to get a fusion done of his thoracic spine. The rod itself is there more to allow his spine to continue to grow through these developing years.
Dr. Johnson sort of discussed with us in one of his meetings. He said, on a routine basis, I pulled knives out of people's spines and fixed gunshot wounds. He said, that's nothing compared to what this procedure is I'm going to be doing to Brady. And when you have one of the top spinal surgeons, relaying to you that how difficult this was, it's scary. It was a long procedure. When we first saw him, unless you knew it was your child, you almost couldn't tell that it was Brady.
Watching your kid in pain and watching him suffer and not having any ability to help him is hard.
I think that year that he had to miss hockey was obviously very hard on him. Just to see how driven he was and the courage that he showed was spectacular.
The lengthening procedure is usually an overnight stay. By 2 in the afternoon, he was up and walking, and then the following year when he got back on his skates and played hockey, he amazed us.
When you just went through a period of time where you saw your son in the hospital, the struggle just to see him walk into a hockey rink with his bag, it's awesome.
It's a pretty tough thing to go through, finding down the edge after a year of not playing hockey. People look at me and just don't even think I have any problems with my back or I've had any surgery. They think it's a normal kid playing sports.
The Children's Hospital Foundation is something that I really no idea the impact they have on the children in the actual hospital that they do. It's something that you don't realize until you're there, until you've actually seen it and witnessed it. And it's important people recognize the impact that these dollars really do make on people and families. It's been a major thing for us to be grateful for, because we're going to continue to need the hospital going forward.
Karina and I have always said that we've really noticed the difference with a lot of the doctors and nurses and all those involved with the Children's Hospital and that work. And when you know that people care that much about your own child, it definitely gives you strength.
Okay. Can go in.
Hello and everyone, thank you all for having me here today to share my story. It's important not just for me, but for many other kids too. These are kids you see every day that are dealing with illnesses, but not might be able to deal with illness. Look at me. Can you tell that over 100 tumors growing on my body right now? When I was just 5 months old, I had something called cafe ole spots on my skin. These kind of looked like light brown birthmarks. My parents were told this could be a sign of a condition called neurofibromatosis, a condition in which tumors can grow anywhere off nerves in the body. By age 6, I was officially diagnosed with neurofibromatosis type 1, a large tumor which is covered on my spine that causes scoliosis. This is my biggest tumor. It's about the size of my hand. But it is twisted into my spinal nerve, so it can't ever be removed. Because it is on one side of my spine bends like a tree branch, too heavy on one side. But at the Children's Hospital to help me. I've seen many specialists there. These included neurology, ophthalmology, respiratory, cardiac, genetics, dermatology, oncology, and spinal surgery. My oncologist is a kind and caring doctor who helps us manage my tumors. Then there's my spinal surgeon at the hospital. He made me feel at ease even through all my surgeries so far. I have had a total of 4 surgeries on my spine so far. My most recent surgery was on June the 1st, this past June the 1st, during the COVID-19 pandemic. After all my surgeries, I stayed for a night in the pediatric intensive care unit to recover. With this last surgery, I was 8 nights in a children's hospital. The nurses and doctors there always try to make me feel at ease, make me feel comfortable, and took really good care of me. I'm feeling much better now. This summer, I've been able to swim at my lake, ride my bike, and camp with my family. I am so thankful for everyone who works at the Children's Hospital and the Children's Hospital Foundation who help purchase medical equipment, like the surgical tools that help my spine and provide child life programs in the hospital. I'm so grateful for all of you, all of those who help the Children's Hospital Foundation, especially during this pandemic. It is because of all the awesome people like you that made it possible for me to do all that I can do today. Thank you for all your support. It really means a lot.
Good afternoon, and thank you for allowing me to share my story as it pertains to our son Brady and his recent stay in the Children's Hospital in Winnipeg during the COVID pandemic. Brady had an urgent surgery on his spine on June 2020. With the challenges of COVID this year, many people have had many situations alter their life. Our family is no exception, and when we learned 12 days before that Brady had to go in for this urgent spine surgery, we were quite shocked and worried as we were in the middle of this pandemic. At the time, we were told that due to COVID restrictions, Brad, my husband, and I would not be able to be in the room together during Brady's stay. This new reality added another layer of stress to this already worrisome situation. This recent surgery in June was Brady's 4th spine surgery. We as a family have had a few times to practice and carry out the management of Brady's post-op recovery, which included having us all be together as a family unit. As I've sometimes been referred to as a mama bear, I tried all avenues to see if this rule could be bent. And much to my dismay, we were told there was nothing that would change these restrictions. When Brady went into the hospital that morning, I went in with Brady while Brad waited in the vehicle. We FaceTime with Brad as Dr. Johnson discussed his surgical plan for the day. While awaiting Brady's 9-hour surgery, we were unable to access the Ronald McDonald room, which is where we'd often wait for him while he was in surgery. We rented a room at the Canada Inns, which is attached to the Health Sciences Center as we live out of town. After this 9-hour surgery, Dr. Johnson so graciously walked over to the Canada Inns, knowing we could not be in the hospital together. He wanted to reassure us both in person that the surgery did go well. Brady was then transferred to the PICU, and he would be staying overnight there as he normally had after the surgery. Since I went in with Brady that morning, I agreed with Brad that he could go see Brady first in the PICU. While I waited to hear from Brad, I felt like my heart was being ripped out, not being able to see him, to make sure he was okay after this long emotional wait. Brad FaceTimed me when he got to the PICU, intubated, so he was unable to speak. The reality of not being there at that time with him was absolutely heart-wrenching. During Brady's week stay, Brad and I traded off, where I slept beside Brady at night, and Brad came in during the day. We were screened every time we entered the hospital. This week's stay was a daily emotional roller coaster. This was not only due to dealing with Brady's milestones of recovery, but also due to having to leave and being unable to be there every step of the way with him. Brady's surgery was on a Monday, and by Friday the restrictions were lifted. This day could not have come soon enough, and for the next 4 days, our lives became so much more at ease in the hospital, as we could all be there together. Through all of this, the staff at the Children's Hospital were so amazing. They were so kind and caring and understanding with the challenges for parents like us dealing with these restrictions. They lent an ear and were so kind when by Wednesday, I had my mommy meltdown, not being able to take the reality of leaving my son's side anymore. They are a very special group of people of whom I'll never forget nothing but gratitude. They took amazing care of Brady when I could not be there by his side. Thank you for letting me share my story, and we are indebted to the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba. And we once again were shown how valuable this foundation has been for our family. Thank you.
Thanks, Brady. You know, you are my hero, Brady. Thank you for all you do for all the kids in our province and our foundation. And thank you, Corinne. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. We know it's tough to be a kid in the hospital at the best of times. So this really helped us understand how important the incredible team of caregivers and the impact of donors' generosity are now more than ever. To tell us more about her vision for the Children's Hospital and to share more about the caring for kids during this pandemic, we'll now turn it over to Dr. Berg.
Great. Thank you. Kat, can you turn on my video while I share my screen? There we go. And can everyone see my presentation? And I'm assuming that's a yes. So I'm Patricia Burke. I'm the professor and head of the Department of Pediatrics and Child Health and the provincial specialty lead for Shared Health Manitoba. And I'd like to begin by saying how honored I am to share our actual re-envisioning of the Children's Hospital of Winnipeg on behalf of the Department of Pediatrics. Now, some months ago, Kat Fox and Stefano Grande asked me to do this presentation and to think about, to give a perspective of working both in pandemic planning and on the front lines, my perspective of what it was like for our department to work during the pandemic and how that relates to our new strategic plan. And I want to acknowledge there are a couple of physicians who are in the audience who are members of the board, Drs. Adina Madison and Michael Narvi, because they were key members who took this journey along with other members of our department. I remember that day well. It was March 16th, 2020, when we heard of the first cases that had occurred in Manitoba. And about a week later, we assembled an incident command team, and we met daily for a while and then expanded that to weekly. But essentially, we were together for a period of about 3 months. And if I could give you a visual of what that journey felt like over the past 3 months, it would be this picture. And if I could put some words to it, it would be like our incident command team, we're all in a car, and we were driving through a tunnel at very high speed and not knowing where we were going, how we were going to turn, or if this would ever stop. And to give you some concrete examples of what we had to do in very short order, within really days to weeks, our hospital life, our professional lives, and our personal lives changed dramatically. So every day, at least one member of our team and our frontline staff were constantly donning and doffing our PPE. We had to devise new hospital protocols really continuously. We had to pivot to virtual platforms for patient rounds to permit social distancing. And we had to pivot. Our ambulatory physicians and our community physicians had to pivot from office practice to telehealth. And we had the best pivot, the best statistics of any group within the Health Sciences Center complex. We pivoted from 4% virtual practice to 68%. Again, done in very short order in a matter of days often. And of course, we had to redeploy many of our staff and many students who worked as volunteers in the pandemic. And I'm so proud to speak of our staff because they really got us through these very, very difficult times. And why is that? And I think as a community, as a group of physicians, hospital-based, community-based physicians, all of our frontline staff, we are collectively Children's Hospital strong. Now, while the pandemic brought out the best in us, it also exposed some weaknesses, and these are really in the realm of aging infrastructure and technology. And it goes without saying, our hospital is in fact aging. It was built in 1986. Our population has grown considerably since then, and our patients are certainly much more complex. So when our senior management team began to re-envision our hospital in the post-COVID era, we realized that we needed to focus strategically on 3 key areas. And these areas are certainly within the mission of the Children's Hospital Foundation, and they consist of a focus on equipment and new technology, facilities, and research. So I'm going to speak to the first 2 entities, and then my colleague, Dr. Terry Clausen, will speak to you about COVID-based research. And so our overarching redevelopment plan in our aging hospital, so to speak, has really 3 fundamental facets. And I've given you some examples in the phases. And these phases are interlocking. They are somewhat chronologic. Work is being done also, however, continuously in all phases. And the first one I'd like to speak about is new technologies related to cardiorespiratory monitoring. And that has a very interesting history because, of course, it relates to our innovator, our philanthropist, Dr. Jerry Price, who really has spearheaded all of the innovations that have gone on, the funding related to our cardiac program. And sometime in January, pre-pandemic, myself and Dr. Richard Kaiser, our pediatric surgery lead, met, as well as Stefano and Dean, met with Dr. Price to discuss where do we go from here? How can we benefit more children, not only who may have cardiac disease, but may have other diseases that would benefit from the tremendous generosity of Dr. Jerry Price. And so we began to do some problem solving and brainstorming. And we believe that one of the best ways of benefiting these children is to re-envision our cardiorespiratory monitoring that we currently do. And by way of background, many children come into hospital not necessarily with cardiac issues, but may come in with respiratory illnesses, pneumonias, viral illnesses, or require monitoring for post-surgery, for post-surgical procedures. And all of these children require some type of monitoring. And there's a fair bit of competition for patients who need monitoring because they're currently housed really in only two major areas within the hospital. So children who are acutely ill, who need monitoring, may not have access to those monitors, leading to what we would call bed block, or almost a wait list in an acute setting, and end up blocking beds or being housed in the emergency department or having to go to our intensive care unit, when really they could be best monitored and managed on the hospital wards. So we wanted to re-envision an opportunity to expand our cardiorespiratory monitoring to each hospital room. And that project involves apparatus called Vocera, where there are embedded drops or wireless links so that children can be monitored in real time. And these wireless signals are monitored through physiological monitors and then can be transmitted to either physicians and nurses with alerts. Certainly that would deliver cutting edge care, safer care, and certainly help us in our bed management and help us with our bed flow and to eliminate bed block. So this is a very important project that really has its origins in Dr. Price's generosity. Now, it follows that if we are able to provide these wireless devices and drops within each hospital room, that will allow us to really do considerable good work on our inpatient units, which are currently too small and house sometimes 2, 3, or even up to 4 patients. And so as we go on with our hospital redevelopment plan, we would like to envision or re-envision more hospitable, patient and family friendly rooms. And this is an example from the Women's Hospital across the street. And you'll note that I mentioned social distancing. Going forward in the post-COVID era, this is a key component of how we are going to admit patients to hospital rooms. So clearly we need major renovations within the hospital rooms that we can pair up with our wireless technology that we are developing for our hospital. The next phase that is related to enhanced use of space in our inpatient units is the redevelopment of our procedural space. Our goal is to someday develop a 23-hour monitoring unit that could be used for pediatric day surgery so that children who need procedures that may not need to go to the OR but can have their procedures done, even things like simple appendectomies, can be performed in this unit and then recovered again in a very patient and family friendly way that would acknowledge social distancing. And when you think about it, all of the philanthropy that began with the cardiac catheterization lab and all the planning that went on with that really has considerable spin-offs to, as I say, redevelop our entire hospital. So the goodness of philanthropy that is being passed on in terms of knowledge translation. So we have a saying on our incident command team that we never want to waste a pandemic. Hopefully they don't happen very often, but we don't want to waste a pandemic to effect positive change. So I'd like to summon people who are have taken their time to attend this meeting to begin to think big as we re-envision our hospital for the betterment of children's hospital care. And in doing so, I think we have a true opportunity in the post-COVID era to be transformational. We've made tremendous gains under very dire circumstances, and I have no doubt that we are going to get there. And the reason we're going to get there is because we are always Children's Hospital strong. Now, I'd like to introduce my fantastic colleague, who is a very brilliant man as well as a visionary. That is Dr. Terry Clausen, who's the CEO and Scientific Director of CRIM. Terry, we look forward to hearing your presentation.
Thank you very much, Patricia, for that very kind and generous introduction. And I just really enjoyed listening to your talk and all the wonderful things you've helped lead along with your team at the Children's Hospital. And truly, you know, clinical care and education are fundamentally important for high quality delivery of care to children in this province. What I'm about to share is what I think is the third pillar in this area, and that has to do with research, the creation of new knowledge. And so it's been my honor and really privilege to be back in this province the last 10 years and really to work with CRIM, the Children's Hospital Research Institute of Manitoba, to help lead and develop excellence in pediatric research. And I think it's, we just had we have a research conference once a year where we really highlight the amazing advances in our researchers. And it was virtual, and it was last week. And it really, I went into wondering, well, what will this really be like? But I think it really, at the end, showed the power of what you can do within the virtual context. So while this year is different, it doesn't mean that it can be better in some ways, you know, and so I think that's a very positive thing. I have this saying that I really believe that research is really the only solution we have to advance and improve the care of children. I mean, without research, things would just stay the same. We would do that very well, but if you want new solutions, new treatments, research is really the answer. And that's why it's so fundamentally important for the health of children and families in this province. And I think CRIM, with the amazing support of Stefano Grande and the foundation, the board chair, Dean Schinkel, allows us to do that. We do that. So obviously our key partner is the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba, with the annual amount that we get from them, with the two wonderful floors that one of your last major gift campaign prior to the current one built and refinished the two floors within the John Buehler Research Center. And that's wonderful, amazing research space that really has given us the tools to do the things that we need to do. And our other partners, though, remain Research Manitoba, the University of Manitoba. These are all amazing partners that we have that augment and add to what the foundation provides to us. We are still in our strategic plan. We're now reaching the end of it, where we really had 4 objectives. We wanted to elevate the brand. We wanted to get CRIM out there in the community and stories. And I hope you've noticed that we really are getting the attention, both on the social media platforms, but also within the more traditional media sources. Now, you might say, why was helping kids one of the objectives? It really was with the notion that we didn't want to just do research that sat in dry academic papers. We actually wanted our research to benefit and help kids through implementation and knowledge translation. The third one was support researchers. It's always been my strong belief as a researcher myself that a research institute that works helps to make your researchers more effective, that they can focus on truly doing the intelligent, brilliant work they need to do, and the infrastructure and support empowers them and takes away that bureaucracy. And we also wanted to increase the funding, and I think you heard earlier that we really, through being successful at the national and provincial level, has allowed us to do that. So, you know, part of the work and redoing our brand was we always strive to be in sync with the Children's Hospital Foundation. And so when they changed their logo, our bear with the microscope also got reformatted. And I think they are a more friendly, approachable bear, and of course, still with the scientific brilliance and the microscope at the bear's side. And so I think that's been a really key thing that we've been trying to do with elevating the brand. In terms of, you know, bringing in new members, we've had 19 new researchers join our institute in the last year, which is phenomenal, really. Those are researchers across, mainly at the University of Manitoba, that they're doing research relevant to advance knowledge for children. We have also created new ways of helping researchers. Bioinformatics, maybe it's a big term, but really what it means is all these complex, confusing data get organized and analyzed to provide answers, because as we have more data, that's how we get the new knowledge and ways of understanding. And Dr. Tobias Kerchuk is been brought into our institute to work with our researchers. He's a brilliant researcher, and he has provided that support. And we have done that through recalling our clinical research unit, now the research support unit. And it's all about supporting, back to what we said, supporting the researchers, helping them to truly know that they can focus on new discovery and advancing knowledge. And of course, through all of that, we have been rewarded. This is tough money to get, but you know, just under $20 million of active research dollars in 2019. It brings new money into the province, allows very highly qualified personnel to be hired and to be working on the most challenging problems for children. And I would argue and continue to argue that through the foundation support, we are hitting above our weight. It allows us to be Manitoba proud, because you know, this is for $1 to bring in $5. That's an incredible return on that investment. And we know that first dollar that the foundation is hard earned and it's hard to raise, but it's so appreciated. And I think our researchers take that and then bring in funding from other places to truly make that happen. And that's where we're forever grateful. And I think the children's and the families in this province remain very grateful for this funding that we get on an annual basis. Through that, we're able to give 11 operating grants, which addresses issues of childhood caries, which remain really perplexing and challenging problems. unexplained pregnancy loss. We know there are changes from parental cigarette smoke, and epigenetic analysis allows us to understand that. And of course, to advance knowledge and insight into childhood mental health. We also support, like through summer students, being able to hire 10 of them. These are the future brain power that we hope to really turn on to science and research. Travel grants, while we list them here, obviously our travel has been absolutely stopped within this pandemic, but prior to that, it's a really good way to interface and work with the best researchers anyway. And so the small grants are just that little starter, little starter nudge to help a researcher start an idea and advance it. But as Patricia so elegantly said, when we got hit with COVID, it changed the way we did things. And obviously it changed our way of functioning. We had to do more remote work from home, and it allowed papers to be written, grants to be written. For a while, some of the lab-based stuff was slowed down, but we really are, through in a safe way, have been increasing that. But the Canadian Institutes of Health Research, the federal aid granting agency, came out and announced $107 million for research funding for COVID-19 research. And Research Manitoba also announced that they would put $5 million to that. And we were, and researchers had to then consider whether their research was relevant or close enough to make it. And because we had the investment from the foundation, these researchers could be competitive, and we had 8 successful applications. And just to give you a sampling of this, Dr. Megan Azad, using the child cohort study, already collecting information on these children, was able now to look at how does SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19 affect health and psychosocial impact on Manitoba families. Dr. Christine Leong looked at the impact of COVID-19 on healthcare utilization and psychotropic drug use and mortality with individuals living with mental illness. It was a population-based administrative data study. Dr. Nathan Nickel was looking at the impact and equity lens within the First Nations and Métis and Inuit. And Dr. Leslie Roos, probably parents who are listening in felt that during the pandemic, parenting became a real challenge, and her PACT program really is looking at parenting apart while coming together. And so you can see that these are really important problems, not always a direct impact of the virus, but some of the unintended consequences. And so that's been really important in terms of that. And so I would just like to end and thank you all for attending today and for your support. And I think I've given you a little bit of a snapshot of the impact of your donations to supporting our research institute, to carry on the really important research that happens, but also I believe when COVID-19 came, that we could be contributors to new knowledge and important discovery within this context. I would now like to hand it over to back to Stefano Grande to take over from here.
Well, thanks, Dr. Clausen. Thank you, Dr. Burke. Thank you for your passion, and thank you for your vision and your leadership. We're truly grateful for all that you do every single day for the kids in our province. We know this is an interesting and uncertain time for everyone, but what I hope you take away today is that kids across Manitoba, Northwestern Ontario, and none of it are in excellent hands. And our CRIM Research Institute continues to be at the forefront of really important and relevant research, which impacts for kids all over the world. It certainly inspires confidence. I hope everything you heard today continues to inspire you, your confidence in the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba. We will never take your support for granted, and we will continue to earn your trust by stewarding your generous gifts in the areas that they are most needed in the hospital and for CRIM. and where they will make the greatest and most significant impact. We will be sending you out the link to our gratitude report, which we hope you will take the time to read. It tells an incredible and a wonderful story of your ongoing support and your ongoing impact because of that support. So thank you to all of our participants today. Thank you for sharing your valuable time with us this afternoon. We do hope to see you in real life soon. Please keep safe and keep well. Thank you very much.